It is impossible to be a maverick or a true original unless you're willing to break some of the rules. You have to think outside the box. What is the point of going through life if all you ever want to do is be like everyone else and be well behaved? Arnold Schwarzenegger. This is Mark Bell from SuperTraining.tv, Super Training Gym, the strongest gym in the West. I got a new hat. I got some new ridiculous shades. Sometimes you got to bring some entertainment value to the Power Project, and sometimes it's at the cost of looking absolutely retarded and ridiculous. Anyway, we got some stuff to get to today at the Power Project. We've got some bench pressing. How much you bench? You get that question asked all the time, how much you bench. That's what people on the street want to know. And that's what we're going to cover here today. We're going to talk about how to bench press properly. And of course, we're going to talk about the slang shot. I got about 4 clips for you. 2 of Konstantin Konstantinov and 2 of my pretty little self. I'm on the floor doing some floor presses with my feet out straight, trying to load up the arms more and trying to build up some strength in my upper body. Trying to put some more stress on the triceps more than anything else. I've been having a little bit of trouble with lockout. I've also had a shoulder injury that I'm coming off of, so I'm trying to basically rebuild. So in the training session, part of the training session that you're going to see is I did about 5 sets of 5 working up. I had some chains on there and used about 365 or so. And then you're going to see I add the slingshot. And I want to talk to you guys about how the slingshot works. I'm going to put it through the coach's eyes so you guys can kind of see, I can kind of break it down for you. But in general, what you're trying to do, especially with these heavier sets, you got to get yourself tighter and tighter and tighter. It's hard to get tight with really, really light weights. You can't really get super tight with just the bar, or even sometimes in some cases with 135 and 225 and so on. You got to get really tight. The heavier the weights are, the more prepared you have to be, the tighter you have to get your body. The bench press is a full body movement. You got to get your whole body involved in it. I don't like to go too crazy with that because it is a chest movement, it is a tricep movement, it is a shoulder movement, but you also have to understand that if you want to have good form and you want to stay safe on the bench press, you have to have your whole body involved. So make sure you have your legs involved as well as locking in everything else and getting up on your traps and keeping your chest up. We hear this cue all the time, use your lats, use your lats. And I always think it's kind of a dumb term. I do understand, coaches are just trying to have you visualize a certain thing. But I think a lot of times it complicates things. How many people even have big lats to even know what the hell you're talking about? If I told my wife to use her lats on the bench, she wouldn't know what the hell I was talking about. So you got to think about some of these cues. How do we apply them to everyone? How do we apply them, not to everyone, but how do we apply them to everyone who's in the gym lifting? How do we apply these certain cues? So I just tell people now, keep your chest up. It's a lot easier of a cue. It accomplishes many of the same things. And having people tuck their elbows and those kinds of things, the elbows will kind of take care of themselves if the chest and the sternum is up and you're on your traps when you're bench pressing. Again, how many people have big traps? I don't know. But a lot of people can visualize this. Tell them you're trying to create a decline bench. You're trying to create a decline environment for yourself. And so you're trying to wiggle your upper body into the right position so everything's locked in. Now, when the weights get to be heavier, you're going to have to be stricter with your form. A lot of people start to get more haphazard with the form, but the truly great ones, the guys that can continue to make progress, get better. And the best way to get better on a bench press with the heavier weights is to make sure that you're not only tucking your elbows in a little bit towards the bottom, not too much. You don't want the gay pterodactyl. Ah! That was the gay pterodactyl. You don't want to tuck in too much. But you want to come in slightly, especially towards the very bottom of the lift. And as you go to press, make sure you're throwing that elbow back out. You don't want the elbow to travel past where the barbell is, but you want your elbow to come back out. That's going to allow you to get your arm in position where it's just right underneath the bar. Because there's going to be a moment in time where the barbell and your wrist and elbow are not all in alignment. But you have to get them realigned to be able to lock those weights out at the top. So that's very crucial. On the way down, You want to squeeze the bar as hard as you can, and you want to try to tuck the elbows in slightly as you're coming down, keeping the chest up. As you come back up, drive that elbow out. You're not just going to haphazardly just throw it out. You're going to try to drive it out, press it out. It's a bench press. Make sure you're pressing, not heaving, not shoving, and make sure you're coming down all with one speed. Enjoy this video, and that is it from me for now. Later. Here we got some footage of some floor presses. Let's go over the technique here a little bit, and also talk about what the hell a floor press is even for. Floor press was invented by Dr. Floor in 1964 in Singapore when he couldn't get through the door. The floor press will help build up explosive power off the chest. It'll also help build up the lockout and build up the triceps. It's not a full range of motion, but for many, it gets to be pretty close to being a full range of motion. Now here I am switching to the slingshot. I'm going to back this up in a minute, but I just wanted to let it play all the way through first before I go backing it up, talking lots of shit. Okay, so let's back these up. There's Mr. KK. We'll get to him in a second. So let's back this up a little bit, and we'll go over some of these things. Now, keep in mind I did about 5 sets of 5, and my strength is down. Body weight is way down. I'm down to about 255. 251 has been the lowest. So here we go. I'm going to unrack the weight. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kick my legs out. The reason I'm going to kick my legs out is I'm trying to make the lift even more harderist. And what I'm doing from here is I'm bringing the elbows in as I come down to the bottom, kind of winding up. I like to lift my head up when I bench press. I don't always advise that everybody does that, but that's kind of my style. And then as I push the weight up, I'm also pressing upward and outward with my elbows. Kind of see how the elbows swing. It's very subtle. It's very slight. It's not too drastic, but the elbow gets back in line with the barbell. Whoops. I'll figure out how to use this thing one of these days. Back it up a little bit here. Okay, let's watch that elbow. It's getting covered by the rack a little bit, but you can see as I press through to the top, right here, that the elbow is in a nice line. Let's see how good the people's coach is at doing lines. Doing lines? Wait, what? Okay, see, it's a pretty straight line down from the where the barbell is. You want the barbell, the wrist, and the elbow to all be in alignment. When I come down to the bottom here, my elbow is actually, this is kind of my style, is actually forward of the barbell this way. For some reason, that's where I feel like I get the best tension, and that's where I press from. I also noticed that Eric Spoto presses from that same position, and so does some other athletes. So it's tucking in slightly at the bottom, and it's flaring the elbows back out, which you never hear people really talk about. Bringing them in, flaring them out. You squeeze that barbell. Squeeze that barbell as hard as you can. Now I'm going up to 405. Got a prototype of the reactive slingshot on right there from howmuchyoubench.net. The slingshot helps to absorb some of that eccentric loading of the weight, and also helps you to explode back upward. The other thing the slingshot does, we'll back it up one more time, is it also helps you with your form. For those of you who have really herky-jerky form going on in your benches, the slingshot will be great for you. It automatically pulls your elbows in just a little bit. It's also taking a lot of stress off the shoulders and elbows and pecs. Those of you who have tendonitis, or those of you who have just ailing upper body injuries, the slingshot's perfect for you. So here's KK hitting up some slanger benches as well. I wish I could remember how much weight this is, but I'd say it's probably close to 500 pounds. Knowing how strong the guy is, I think he's benched 585 or 573 in competition. And keep in mind, he's a raw lifter. I get the question all the time, is it good for raw lifters? Well, here you see it right here. Got many raw lifters using a slingshot with a lot of success. Now here he is overloading with some chain. Getting a good strong pop off the bottom. A little bit of a pause in there, which I always recommend when you're using the slingshot. Presses them out nice and strong. And that is it from supertraining.tv.